Welcome to your daily stock market summary from MarketSnap. I'm excited to break down another action-packed session where the Dow punched through to a fresh record high, while investors juggled optimism around a potential Iran deal with some very real worries about inflation and consumer health. The major averages finished the week on a strong note. The Dow surged nearly 300 points to close around 50,580, marking an intraday record and extending its winning streak. The S&P 500 and Nasdaq also climbed, riding a wave of relief that diplomatic progress in the Middle East could ease energy pressures. What stood out was how resilient equities looked, even as Treasury yields stayed elevated and oil prices remained a concern. Long-term investors should note that solid corporate earnings have been the real fuel behind this rally, giving the market a fundamental backbone even if macro data softens. The biggest story of the day was Kevin Warsh being sworn in as the new Federal Reserve Chair. He promised a reform-oriented Fed and stressed independence, with President Trump publicly telling him to do his own thing. Markets gave him a warm welcome, but traders are already pricing in the possibility that the next move could be a hike rather than a cut if inflation stays sticky. On the stock front, tech and semiconductor names led the charge again. Advanced micro devices jumped over 3%, while Intel and several smaller chip plays posted even bigger gains as AI infrastructure spending continues to dominate investor attention. Not everything was rosy, though. Tesla slipped more than 5% amid ongoing concerns about demand and competition, while some high-flying names in the consumer space also came under pressure. The bigger picture shows a market that's trying to look past near-term turbulence. Consumer sentiment hit a fresh record low as higher gas prices and Middle East tensions weigh on household confidence. At the same time, first-quarter earnings have been strong enough to keep the bullish narrative alive for long-term holders. Looking ahead, the earnings calendar remains busy, with several high-profile names still to report. Long-term investors should keep an eye on how guidance holds up, especially in consumer-facing sectors where spending patterns are starting to show some strain. You can find exclusive earnings transcript summaries on MarketSnap. The market movers list continues to be dominated by big tech and AI-related names, reminding us that the secular growth story in artificial intelligence is still the dominant theme for patient capital. Among sectors, industrials and energy showed relative strength this week as investors positioned for potential supply disruptions and rebuilding themes. Healthcare and some defensive areas lagged, highlighting how sentiment can shift quickly when macro uncertainty rises. One interesting side note: small-cap indexes could see some quality improvement after the Russell reconstitution, with lower volatility, dividend-paying names potentially gaining more weight. That's worth watching for investors who like to tilt towards smaller companies in a diversified long-term portfolio. That's a wrap for today's stock market summary from MarketSnap. Thanks for tuning in. If you want to stay ahead of the market with daily recaps, in-depth SWOT analyses, and earnings insights, make sure to subscribe and hit the bell so you never miss an update. See you next time.